Okay. I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Oconee County Board of Zoning Appeals for Monday, August 22nd, 2022. Before we go any further, I'd like to ask the board if we can amend or change the agenda, the order of the agenda. Item 3 is a discussion that we really just need to have here. We don't need to keep these folks here, so I'd move to move item 3 down to the end after current item 7. Second for that?
Well, I'd like it to be before item 7 because that's an adjournment.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I'd make it item
Let's do it after, before item 7. Is there a second to that?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, the agenda has been amended, adjusted. Okay, first item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes for our meeting on 7/25/22. Can I have a motion to approve, please?
So moved.
Second. Second. Is there any discussion? Any changes? Everyone had a chance to look at them?
Look good from my standpoint.
Okay, all in favor, please say aye. Raise your hand. Aye. Approved 5-0. Okay, before we go any further, for those who are here before us, the way we proceed is the applicant generally gets a chance to state their case, why they are requesting our attention. We'll then ask the staff for any input they have on the issue. Following that, we'll allow anyone in the audience who wishes to give us input on the proposal. We'll hear that, and then come back if any issues have been raised by the audience. Then we'll come back to the original applicant. They get a chance to make a statement and rebut any issues that were raised. Then we'll take it under advisement and vote. During that time, we may ask questions or not, depends. And just as a procedural thing, please address all your comments to us. Please don't be talking back and forth to each other. It doesn't look like there's a lot of opportunity for that tonight, but please just address your comments to us, not to anyone else. Okay. Variance application number VA22-009, Signage Anderson. Jamie Smith is requesting a 93 square foot increase, variance from the 75 square foot limit for stacked signs. TMS number 222-00-02-046, 1631 Sandifer Boulevard, Seneca, South Carolina 29678. Is Mr. Smith here? Someone representing Mr. Smith?
Yeah, I'm Dave Smith. Jamie's my wife.
We got a podium? We used to have a podium.
I was going to say, what happened to
Is
that?
there a podium hiding?
Vivian's not here, so.
Second string taking care of it. Thank you, James.
Yep. Are the drawings up there? They are. Hi, council members. Like I said, I'm Dave Smith, representing Signage. We are seeking a variance for this sign here for the Stop a Minute gas station chain. During pre-planning, Vivian had indicated, and I think James in a meeting would corroborate this, that that sign would be allowed to be made in that format, assuming we made each of the 3 sections as an individual cabinet, each of which were below the 75 square foot sign limit. The ordinance, based on the length of property on 123 there, allows for 3 signs to be done across the entire property. And she said we could do it, we could put those on the same post. Now, when we went to apply for permits, she discovered another part of the ordinance that was relevant to billboards, and there's a thing in there about billboards and stack signs. We've owned our business for 11.5 years, and we've looked at probably 100 different ordinances in Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and billboards are, generally speaking, a completely different entity than signage. And then we can scroll to the next one. In an oddity of the ordinance, okay, the ordinance would allow us to do 3 individual signs across 123 that are each of which are the exact same size as, if we want to scroll, as what's shown on the first page. And I don't think anybody wants to have 3 signs across 123 in lieu of having 1 sign. So there's incredible visual clutter at that point. It's going to create dangerous conditions with drivers with that. And also, there is absolutely no place where we can put 3 signs on that site. We've brought site plans here. There's, I think, a site plan in this drawing, but this is a site plan showing the easements out there. And if I may, Stephen can help. Stephen, there's the general contractor there, and he can answer questions on this. Because everywhere in blue or green is an easement that we can't violate. So the only way we could do even what's allowed in the ordinance is to put all 3 of those signs back to back to back to each other in one area in the lower left of that drawing.
Yeah, another one of those that you can put into the record.
Yes. And I can send all this electronically. This is the only.
Perfect, yeah.
I'll make them to do that. I think that's the only thing that Stephen did that for us a little bit later than when we submitted this.
Okay, was there anything else you wanted to say?
No, I think
That's fine.
unless there's questions that come up or.
May I have questions? Let's hear what James has to say.
So, as the ordinance is written, there is a limit of 75 square feet for a single sign. Stack signs are considered a single sign. This is obviously larger than that. They are allowed up to the 3 signs on the Highway 123 frontage. They do have over 300 linear feet. So by that ordinance, you have 1 sign for every 100 linear feet.
Is it 100 or 200? I thought it was 200.
It's every 100.
Every 100
1 sign
feet.
for every 100 feet of road
Okay.
frontage. So I guess the option is whether you would prefer and think 1 sign that's larger would be better aesthetically than 3 individual signs in that red area. The easement area is not necessarily y'all's purview or concern, so where they place them, they have the frontage to do 3 signs.
Except we can't do them where there's easements. That is.
Personally, I don't want to drive around 3 signs to go get fuel.
Correct, and there's the easements really don't allow for us to have viable locations for 3 signs except right on top of each other. And there's less square footage of overall signage in doing it on 1 because you take out the square footage on the posts as well. I mean, and there's nowhere in Oconee County you're going to find this circumstance. In the last 5 years, we've done signs for Stop a Minute like these, two of them in Anderson County, 1 in Pickens County, 1 in Greenville County, and also in Greenwood County. And these are all neighboring counties that have this sign or larger.
Where would that 1 sign be on this diagram?
It's going to be in what is the most likely location is down here in this left-hand corner by the entrance, and we will abide by the distance off that entrance and that.
Now, that's where the red is?
The red is showing what's an available sign area and the most logical place.
Put it to the far left of that?
It's right here, right by the road, right by the road entrance.
Okay, do you have any further comments? Okay, thank you. Anyone in the audience have any comments or any input? Speak now or forever hold your peace. Okay. We have any questions for this gentleman before this down? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's consider this. Could I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Well, let me see, I'm getting ahead of myself here. Let me get the words right. Let's start to consider the questions. The first question is, there are extraordinary and exceptional conditions pertaining to a particular piece of property. Could I have a motion in the affirmative,
So
please?
moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion.
Well, as I said,
think it's-
I'd rather have one sign to miss with my car than to have to look for three.
I think it's obvious, looking at the drawing, that it seems like about the only place you're going to want to put it.
Yeah, my concern is that that's a very large sign.
Yeah.
It's going to be the largest sign in the area.
Yeah, but then, but
Walmart,
again,
Walmart's a gas station across the street, they have no sign that big
just
at all.
beyond it, there's two big billboards.
There are two big billboards, that's right.
That's right, so
That's
I
right.
mean, I think it, fits in with those without too much trouble.
Well, the size really is not gonna change as far as, it's just you're stacking them
Sign.
rather than,
That's right, you
You're
so you've got
combining-
three
you're combining
big
them rather
signs
than-
versus one
Yeah, it's,
stacked.
I'm just,
Yeah.
I have a hard place in my heart for large signs. That's always my problem. Okay, any other discussion? So, all those in favor, please say aye. Raise your hand. Okay, passes 5-0. B, these conditions do not generally apply to other property in the vicinity. Could I have a motion in the affirmative,
So
please?
moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Raise your hand. It's 5-0 approved. Because of these conditions, the application of this chapter to the particular piece of property would effectively prohibit or unreasonably restrict the utilization of the property. Have a motion in the affirmative,
So
please.
moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Say aye. It's 5-0. The authorization of a variance will not be of substantial detriment to adjacent uses or to the public good, and the character of the district will not be harmed by the granting of the variance. Have a motion, please.
So moved in the affirmative.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Raise your hand. 5-0. Based on the evidence presented to the board, do I hear a motion that the proposed variance be approved? Have a motion,
So
please.
moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Raise your hand. 5-0. Approved. Okay, request is approved. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank y'all very much.
Surely.
Appreciate that.
Variance application number VA22-011, Civil and Environmental Consultants Incorporated. William Booker, butcher that, I'm sorry.
It's okay, it's Carium.
Carium, okay. Carium Booker is requesting a plus or minus 7 to 15 foot variance from the required 25-foot front setback. TMS number 176-00-01-155, 102 Lusk Drive, West Union, South Carolina, 29696. Mr. Booker, I have two here. Could you both state your names, please, for the record?
Yep, I'm Carium Booker with Civil and Environmental Consultants, 530 Howell Road, Suite 203, Greenville, South Carolina.
Okay,
I'm Brian Lightwise, also with Civil and Environmental Consultants.
okay, sounds good. Please continue.
Thank you for your time today and your consideration on this matter. Basically, we're here as a representation for the owner. The project is for Family Dental Health Facility on SCE 28, and virtually the owner would like to expand their services in Oconee County by adding an addition on this property. And due to constraints of the site, we're not allowed to due to the constraints of the site, we're having issues with the expansion because of the current home sits within the setback. So with consistency of the property and the current layout, we would like to ask for a variance to make this addition in line with the existing building as well. So we have a couple, you can go ahead and scroll through. Scroll down, there's the site location. This is the existing building, altar survey right here. So you can see on the exhibit in front of you, the existing building. It currently sits about 5 feet off the property corner And then you have about 7 feet, I believe that says, on the other corner. Also through the site, you see a Duke Power right-of-way easement. And based on the constraints of the site and the topography, that's really our only option, is to just stay in line with that existing building and kind of stack that addition accordingly.
Yes, the location of that transmission easement really precludes any building expansion from coming away from the road. Also, the interior operations of the building are linear, and so we want to stay true with that path, and it would still be in the building setback line. However, the alignment of the new expansion will be working its way out of the building footprint, the building setback line. At its northernmost point, it'll encroach 3 feet into the building setback line. And we think a building expansion that was cockeyed or not in line with the existing building would be unsightly through that corridor.
How did this building come to be within the SC 28 setback?
Yes, sir. Going back through our documentation, SC 28 was widened in around the 1970s. Used to be 2 lanes. DOT came through and widened. We couldn't quite narrow down exactly when the building was built, but sometime within that translation of the widening, the building was built, and then right-of-way was acquired for the Duke Power easement, kind of locking that location where it is. So the building more than likely was built before the widening occurred. So, they got the right-of-way, and then everything else kind of fell in place.
And then the transmission line easement came in well after the
Yeah.
existing building was already there.
So around the 70s, that project was widening, and then I believe in the 90s, early 90s, they got the Duke Power line right-of-way, along with right-of-way for the roadway that comes in on Lush Drive.
Folks, we listen to these folks, please.
It would appear from the public records that the building was built in 2001.
Yes, sir, we feel that's a discrepancy. If going back through our records, even if on a Google imagery, if you go back into the 1990s, you can see that a building was currently
Still there.
Yes, sir. What we believe happened in 2001, they did some modifications on the site, and that is kind of their starting point that the planning department, or the county decided just to make 2001 that starting point for that site. But that building was there before then. Yes, sir.
Will you have to expand the parking as well to accommodate the new building?
So for this current zoning type, they do not require a specific parking, but out of good faith and standard of care, we would account for parking and handicap parking as well. Just on our end as engineers, we want to make sure the site has good circulation and flow.
You're going to extend the current building in a linear fashion to, I guess, the north or northwest.
Yes, sir.
Now, that property falls off quite a bit. Looking at it, you're going to have to fill in there and
Yes, sir. So
do all that.
Yes, sir. So within these documents where you can scroll, we have a little exhibit of kind of what it will look like. You can see the proposed addition, slightly smaller than the existing building footprint. And then you can see some proposed parking as well. And then also we have some architectural drawings in this package to give an idea of what the possible the end product will be. And we'll just
I
kind of let them-
don't think that's an issue for us, is
Yes,
the
sir.
architectural nature of the building.
Looking at the plat, it looks like you're gonna be building over the septic system. Are you replacing that?
We are, and we're working with South Carolina DHEC on that.
They're going to be tougher to deal with than we are.
I'm aware.
Any other questions from the board? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
James, do you have any input?
Not a lot to add. Everything you said is accurate. The building, we do believe, predates that 91 date. They are in a position where they would not be able to build that building there if they were building it today. The building already exists though, so the constraints for the power lines and for the setback, it is a pretty difficult situation that they are in to expand. There's not any other way that we've seen that would be effective to grow that building. And we do see it as a benefit to the community to have additional dental services.
Yeah, the building's quite a ways to the road. I mean, it's not like it's impinging on the road. It's a long ways off the road. And you can certainly see with a dental practice like that, you could use more space to expand the dental practice. It's not like a huge building to begin with. Okay, so
Thank you.
if you got anything else you'd like to offer us then, before we consider it?
Other than thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Do we have any discussion before we proceed to consider this?
Pretty straightforward.
Questions right here. Okay, our first question is, there are extraordinary and exceptional conditions pertaining to a particular piece of property. Do I have a motion in the affirmative, please?
So moved.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Oh, sounds like we're all pretty comfortable with what's being asked. Okay, all in favor, please say aye. Raise your hand. 5-0. These conditions do not generally apply to other property in the vicinity. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Is it second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Raise your hand. 5-0 in favor. Because of these conditions, the application of this chapter to the particular piece of property would effectively prohibit or unreasonably restrict the utilization of the property. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved in the affirmative.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Raise your hand. 5-0. The authorization of a variance will not be of substantial detriment to adjacent uses or to the public good, and the character of the district will not be harmed by the granting of the variance. A motion, please.
So moved in the affirmative.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Raise your hand. 5-0. Based on the evidence presented to the board, do I hear a motion that the proposed variance be approved?
So
Motion,
moved.
please.
So moved in the affirmative.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye. Raise your hand.
Aye.
5-0. Motion's approved. You're all set. Thank you for your time. Okay, we now need to take up the original item 3. That's the discussion of procedures for our board. James, would you like to kick things off?
Sure. There is a request we would like to make to have an addition to the rules for presentations. We would like to add a cutoff time for all materials for applicants to have them in. Staff recommendation would be the Thursday before the meeting so that we can have the full packet to you guys on Friday for review over the weekend prior to the hearing on Monday. In the past, we've had people that come in with stuff at the very last minute. One sheet's not nearly as big a deal as having a stack of documents that have been handed at the very last minute. And we don't feel like you guys get an adequate chance to review that material when it's handed to you while you're also listening to them talk about it. And if we
Well, I don't
could put
think
it-
they should be able to bring anything extra. I think what you have in the package should be the cutoff period in the discussion. They shouldn't come in here with another stack, and their cute little brochures or whatever that they're handing out that we don't have a chance to absorb. I think the package you get should be the only evidence they're allowed to present.
And that's why we'd like to add a cutoff time for it, because right now there is no cutoff time in for this material, so we would like to add that to the ordinance for the zoning.
I think that's only fair.
I would think, though, you should back it up even a little bit more than that. Than that Friday before the meeting.
Well, I mean, if you
Make it the Monday before the meeting or something like that, or Wednesday or something. Give you a little bit more time, get it out, and then people have got a little bit more time. Otherwise, you're gonna get it on a Friday and the meeting's on Monday, and who knows?
We would be welcome to any recommendation from the board, so whatever.
Well, what's your feeling? It's primary for your convenience and our convenience. We certainly support, I think we all support getting it the week beforehand, somewhere in there. Yeah, you can say they gotta have everything in 2 weeks ahead of time. That's too much, obviously. We need to be responsive to the public and what they want. So
I think back it up by, 2 or 3 days, like midweek or something like that.
how about a
would be-
Wednesday? How about Wednesday?
Wednesday
That gives you,
before,
You
yeah.
gotta consider the mail time, because if the documents get to you by Wednesday, we're not gonna get them till Friday or Saturday, right?
well, electronically, get them out electronically.
Oh, true, except that if they're a big package, it's kinda hard to print them out electronically, but
What's your turnaround time on documents like
We'll get
that?
it emailed out the next
Huh?
day. So whatever the next day is from whatever the cutoff is, we'll have it to you that next day.
Uh,
So if it's Wednesday,
Could we
fine.
ask that you get it to us by Wednesday, so that your cutoff maybe would be Tuesday?
Tuesday, 5 o'clock. Close of business on Tuesday.
What's the board's feeling on that? I think I'm comfortable with getting to us during the work week. Why expect us to work over the weekend?
Right.
I mean,
Next
We
question.
all can do that, but I mean,
How do y'all handle it if Monday's a holiday
Or
or
something,
something,
they
out
got
another
problems.
day?
It would, yeah, so we would do it on a number of hours before the hearing. So
Okay.
if we do, I don't know if we have any Thursdays this year, but if we did have a Thursday hearing, we would adjust it to whatever that same number of hours.
But what I'm saying is if Monday of the week they're supposed to get you the information is a holiday, that shorts them a day, does that mean you're gonna push it out until Thursday?
Yes, we would do it based on the number of hours before the hearing, so
Okay.
not the number of days, so not a day of the week, but 48 hours or 72 hours before the hearing.
Okay.
working hours, I guess.
Yes.
I think
Well-
You gotta count Saturday and Sunday in there somehow, you gotta get, however you wanna say it, that gets the point across. So what day do we think would be the deadline? Let's get,
I would suggest Wednesday.
Close the business on Tuesday so that we have it Wednesday. That way if Monday's a holiday, they still got Tuesday to get it in.
okay?
Yeah.
How does everybody feel about that?
That's fine.
Do you need us to take a vote? Just
Yeah, please.
close the business, okay, so the proposal is to set a deadline of close of business Tuesday or whatever the relevant time is if there's a holiday in there. Close the business Tuesday, all materials to be presented on the case be into staff by Tuesday.
So moved.
Did I butcher that, or?
Well, that's-
It's to go to staff by Tuesday and us to have it by close of business on Wednesday.
And that you would make an appropriate adjustment if the meeting were held on a day other than a Monday.
Yes.
Did we mess it up too much?
No, I got it.
I think he's good.
I'll
We
listen
keep
to it to
thinking
it.
about these
complicated.
what ifs.
Okay, all those in favor, please say aye, raise your hand. We have approved 5-0.
I missed the second. Who was the second?
I'll second.
Thank you.
Good volunteer. Now, while we're on the subject, is there anything else on procedures that you'd like to talk?
yeah, because I think it's Wahala that has changed their ordinance that a variance is only good for a certain amount of time. And I kind of like that idea, so when we approve a variance, it isn't good forever. It's maybe good for a year or something like what Wahala did. And I personally like that idea. I was wondering what everybody thought of that.
Has that been an issue?
Not that I'm aware of, and I'm assuming, just to clarify, that you're saying they need to start the construction of the project for the variance within that time
Oh,
period,
okay.
not that the variance would expire, so somebody building in the setback with a variance would not date out.
Well, it's like these guys that just left,
Yeah.
having to get DHEC's approval. My last one I waited 9 months for.
Sure.
So
I,
unless you're hiring an engineer to site plan, which costs in excess of $25,000 for a site plan, if you're waiting on South Carolina DHEC, you're 9 months to a year.
I think it's up to, on your particular issue, I think it's up to staff to enforce that. I don't think that, if they're having trouble with getting permits, for instance, I don't think they're gonna make the permit expire, be my guess, as long as you're showing
I think
appropriate.
if you have, if I were wording it, I would say that the permit needs to be applied for within that time period, and then you know, whenever, you have the application submitted by, as opposed to having the approval from.
But is that our jurisdiction, or is that'd be the planning department?
Yeah.
Not our.
No, I don't, my guess is we need an ordinance if we want to do that.
Probably,
I think we need to have an ordinance passed.
probably.
If it's an issue, fine. The way they stated it in the paper, they talked about zoning. There's also an issue of when our development permits valid, how long are they valid? You've got this chunk of land you put in for a subdivision, then you don't do anything on it for 5 years, is your permit still, your plan still valid? But we're getting far
I
afield here.
understand that they haven't, the senior thing on Sheep Farm Road, they haven't done anything.
They hadn't done anything yet.
No, but there's a sign that says it's under contract
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, there may be more to it than what I had understood, but I thought it was an interesting approach to it,
Is that what it is?
that a variance wouldn't last forever.
Yeah.
I think with,
How about if we watch for that, if it's an issue, if it looks like people are dragging it out, and particularly planning comes to us and says, hey, we got a problem here, we can recommend a change and probably take an ordinance to put that in.
I
If we
think,
want to make it,
Jim, I think too, you got a problem like large projects like the one down on Cherry Road or the one out here on Sheep Farm Road. They're complex enough, it may take more than a year for them to get their ducks in order.
yeah.
Well, get permitting and approval.
You know, and they've come in early to get it, at least get that part of it done, the variance, so that they can proceed,
Yeah.
do their planning after the fact.
Okay, any other discussion on this issue then? Anything we want to do?
Motion we adjourn.
A motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye. Oh, God, I've got 5-0 there. Okay.